Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Our research-backed videos are engaging, easy to follow, and they help ease the daily challenges like agitation and anxiety so that you can focus on connection and joy. Available by subscription on mobile and TV apps, Zinnia makes every day a little bit easier. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori La Bey, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation, as usual, as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about dementia change. We will.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Alzheimer Speaks. I hope you're having a beautiful week and a wonderful month. I don't know if all of you know this, but September celebrates World Alzheimer's Month and also Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month and Untangle Alzheimer's Month. So there's lots going on that you're seeing out there, and feel free to join in. The Global Purple Angel has been doing amazing things in many, many countries who are participating. So check them out. Norms McNamara, you can find him on Facebook. I also wanted to let you know about a research study that is seeking dementia care partners, and they want you to take a couple of surveys and write 3 letters, and they're just doing a study researching and evaluating the process of will letter writing help your experience when you're caring for somebody with dementia. And you can go to caregiver.com, just COMM lab at UCONN.edu. That's caregiver.com with 2 M's and then lab, LAB, at UCONN.edu. And I think it sounds like a really interesting study that you can participate in. Also wanted to let you know that GrandPad is offering $75 off its new premium and ultimate annual plans, and that runs from September 18th to the 22nd. You can go to grandpad.net. It's a wonderful way to communicate, engage in a safe lockdown way that families need, and it offers a variety of entertainment, communication, and educational pieces with that as well. Now, today we are going to be doing an open mic. I never know who's going to show up. Open mic is where Alzheimer Speaks opens it up, and anybody around the world can participate. We invite people living with dementia, family and friends, all different types of businesses, researchers, advocates, you name it. We want to hear from you. And so if you're interested in that, reach out to me at radio@alzheimerspeaks.com, and we'll coordinate getting you on the show. I also want to encourage people to check out Alzheimer Speaks and all of our free educational resources, along with Dementia Map, a global resource directory. Both are free, so please check them out. So let's move on and see who's behind the curtain. Well, Tyler, it's so nice to have you back with us. I am so excited to hear what's been going on. So I am first going to have you introduce yourself and introduce the memory board to everyone, because we always get new listeners. And let's start there.
Yeah. So Lori, thank you so much for having me back. I think when we first had this conversation a couple months ago. We were kind of in the middle of our pilot phase, very early days, just kind of getting feedback from some initial families that we were working with. And fast forward, we've been out in market now for a couple of months with the memory board, and it's just been amazing to hear some of the stories. So thank you again for having me and letting me share some of the stories I've been hearing from families. So, what is memory board? What are we doing? Memory board really came out of my personal family's experience with loved ones with dementia and Alzheimer's. My grandmother has had vascular dementia for 5 years. We have Alzheimer's in the family. We also have loved ones who are in their late 90s and not diagnosed dementia, but naturally when you're in your late 90s, your memory kind of starts to go. So memory board has been a really helpful tool. And we wanted a really simple way to communicate, engage, check in, and just share updates and kind of notifications throughout the day. And that's that's ultimately what we've done with memory board. So memory board is a digital display that sits in your loved one's home. You just kind of set it up where they spend the majority of their time. And through an app on your mobile phone, family members, caregivers, friends can send reminders, updates, notifications all throughout the day from anywhere. And you can schedule messages, you can share quick updates, quick check-ins, say, hey, I'm thinking about you, love you. You can say, hey, I'm running 10 minutes late from the grocery store. Don't worry, I'll be there soon. You can do photos as well. And a lot of people will you can tag the photo and add text on top of the photo or next to the photo for some additional context. Like we hear families tell us if somebody is coming by that day, they'll put up a photo of the person with that person's name so that their loved one with dementia will kind of know, oh, this is who's coming by, kind of be ready for that person. And so yeah, we launched it about 3 months ago at this point, and we've just been really fortunate with the response that we've heard from families and assisted living and independent living. And I think we've really kind of built a tool that's really solving a problem for people.
Well, that's exciting because you guys just launched, I think it was in June. And I mean, we're just in, mid-September. That's a really short time to even be able to gather feedback. So to get that engagement out of people who have purchased it and used your program, that's amazing in and of itself.
Yeah, I think it's two things. One, we hear a lot of families kind of come and tell us, hey, this is exactly what I've been looking for. I've been looking for a tool like this. Maybe they've tried, the Amazon Alexas or the Facebook portals, or they've done whiteboards and sticky notes, but they said, I was looking for this exact tool that does one thing really, really well. It does the messaging really, really well, and that's really all it does. It's not overly complex. And we've really designed it with this kind of goal of being low to no burden for your loved one. Your loved one doesn't need to learn a new device or gadget. They don't need to manage it themselves. So we've really kind of lowered that kind of hurdle, that tech hurdle for your loved one, which I think is a big barrier for people when they're thinking about technology for an individual with dementia.
Oh, absolutely. I hear that all the time. It's like, well, they won't know where to look. They won't know how to turn it on or turn it off, or, and sometimes those types of things can create more panic than anything, for people. And so that's a really important factor, because especially with dementia, people going through sundowning can get kind of paranoid to begin with. And then if they're, hearing something and they don't know where to look, but if you're placing it in the right spots, those are critical. And, having those reminders, when you had mentioned about just being able to check in and saying, hey, just thinking about you, love you. I can just see that, giving somebody that safety, that comfort of feeling loved and remembered that they're still in their lives, because we all hear people say to us, you haven't been here forever, and you just went to the bathroom. That's all. That's all you did. So, but there's other times when we can't get there. So being able to, have those little comments pop up and give them that peace and security that they're still part of the family, or a friend circle, whatever it might be, that's got to be massively huge for people.
Yeah, and I would say that has surprised us, the extent to which like the simple check-in is how often that is used and how helpful that has been for us in designing the memory board. I think in our minds, use case number one would be around more like an agenda and like a daily planner. And a lot of families do use it for that. And we see a lot of that. but equally, if not more so, this idea of the quick check-in and just letting somebody know that you're thinking about them. But also in kind of practical situations, it's really, really helpful because we hear from families who say, yeah, if I'm running 10 minutes late, my loved one thinks the worst, right? They think I'm never coming for them or that something bad has happened. We hear from families that say, yeah, my loved one used to wait outside for hours at a time because they didn't know when I was coming by and they just wanted to wait outside for me to come. And now with the memory board, I can tell them, hey, I am running 10 minutes late, or I'll be there at this time. You don't need to wait outside for us. So it's really actually having really, really kind of practical benefits for families and their loved ones.
Yeah, I have a friend right now that's really struggling with time. And so he has another friend that comes and visits him every day at 5:15. So he writes on a piece of paper, each day I'll see you Tuesday with the date and then 5 p.m. And this man will call me and go, I haven't seen him. I think he's dumped me. He's blocked me. I think I'm being scammed. I don't know what's going on. He's not responding. And then he'll look over to his clock with the big numbers and he'll read off the date and the time, but he doesn't understand AM, PM. And then he'll read me the notes and he'll go like 5:15 because he doesn't really even understand that that's time. So then I have to remind him, what that is and how that goes. And then he'll calm down. It's just so sad because he just gets in this panic. And so things like that, I think, can really help people a ton in terms of giving them a sense of calm because, he'll call me back then and go, thanks for picking up the phone or thanks for whatever. That really helped me. And then he'll go, okay, now I have so many hours to wait. And that could be done easily with your board. Same with reminders for if they're living independently or if they're in a community, reminding them to go down for breakfast, lunch, or supper.
Yeah.
Hey, just checking in. I'm eating my lunch now. I wanted to see if you got down, to dinner too. Why don't you head down and tell me what you had when you come back or some goofy, but I think that could help not only the person, but staff in a community with those types of prompts too, because and helping their body maybe getting into a routine as well with that.
Yeah, and we're kind of now naturally in a lot of assisted living as a result of the families who are buying memory boards for their loved ones. So we have a lot of exposure to assisted living and kind of that setting. And you're exactly right. Like we hear from families who tell us that their loved one is attending more events because of the memory board, and you can kind of tell your loved one to go down to the common area that there's an event going on. But also we do hear secondhand that the care staff is really enjoying it because one, it's also confirmation for them. Like, oh, is this person's son or daughter actually coming by today? The individual in the memory care is telling me that they are, but can I kind of confirm that with what I'm seeing on the memory board? Or it's a prompting mechanism for the care staff to say, oh, look at this great photo of your grandkids or your great grandkids. Look what they're doing. They're on a trip. They're going to be back in a couple of days. They can't wait to see you. So the care staff we're getting a lot of really positive feedback from the care staff as well. I think ultimately for us, what would be amazing is just freeing up their time, making their lives a little bit easier. We hear a lot about just this idea of like fewer anxious phone calls, both for families, but also for the front desk at the care staff as well. We've done a couple of pilots with different assisted living and independent living. And they told us in a couple of cases, they would get 10 phone calls a day from residents wanting to know what was going on. And through the memory board, it was really reducing all of these kind of anxious phone calls as they kind of described them.
I don't know if you have any communities doing this yet or not, but I would really encourage communities to buy this as a benefit. Stop with the coffee mugs and the pens and the big marketing packets. We don't all need that stuff. You can just staple something for us in the big fancy printed folders. Go get something at the dollar stores, put them in, and just explain to people, we are very conscious of cost, and we want you to know where our money and our priorities are. And it's about serving people. And then, if you got those in all of the rooms, the consistency level would go up. I
Yeah.
don't know if there would be a way for, let's say, activities to be able to, let's say, upon admission, because they usually have activities at certain times and
Hmm.
days for people to be able to do a group input to flash out to everybody.
Yeah.
Same with meal times, because then it's not an overload for staff because everyone's looking at that.
Yeah.
But boy, that would be sweet for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. Um, we can definitely go down a rabbit hole of assisted living and how they work and
Yep.
the different stakeholders and what motivates them. But I think you're exactly right. Like ultimately, the way that we kind of view it is like I think it's a really great kind of welcome gift for assisted living for new residents as they're kind of moving in to have this like really kind of cool gadget, kind of show the assisted living as being kind of very tech forward and tech savvy. But then also it will kind of fundamentally make it easier on the care staff if they can kind of quickly send the same message to a bunch of memory boards and just ultimately fewer phone calls, potentially less kind of visits and getting everybody on the same page. So
Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Zinnia offers research-backed videos intentionally created for people with dementia, engaging, calming, and easy to follow. Whether you need to ease agitation, create moments of joy, or make daily routines smoother, Zinnia is here to help. Family and professional caregivers use our content to turn challenges into opportunities for connection. Accessible by subscription on mobile devices and connected TVs, Zinnia is simple to use whenever you need it. Because when caregiving feels easier, life feels better. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
we do think there's a lot of value there. We're still today really focused on families and individual families, but there's just a lot we can be doing with assisted living and independent living groups.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to make one more plug for the communities, even though you're focused on the families right now. I do a lot of support groups, and I can tell you they are really getting frustrated with communities not feeling served
Yeah.
and valued and service for their loved one and for them. And this would really help with this tremendously.
Yeah.
Basically, the one time major setup. But then even if they supported families who maybe weren't tech savvy to
Yeah.
be able to input things, staff could do that in 2 seconds. If
Yeah.
somebody called with a message, and that touch point is a positive touch point. It's
Yeah.
not somebody fell. It's not that somebody missed a med. It's not that someone's hospitalized. It's not that something got stolen. It's a positive touch point.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing out there right now. Staff are overstretched, and so you have to cut down all of these kind of knives coming at them that they can't
Yeah.
handle because they don't have enough staff, and lessen those by adding in positive things that can
Yeah.
be streamlined. That would be massively important because, like I said, I hear that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Is people want to trust, and I think your product really helps build trust and safety and engagement and purpose, all of those things, no matter where it's placed, if it's within an individual family or a community. But again, communities are struggling so bad out there right now, and it
Yeah.
streamlines so much of what they're doing.
Yeah, and it gets the care staff and the families on the same page as well. Like we hear a lot about just how for families they don't really know what's kind of going on. It's hard for the care staff. It's really hard to communicate back to families just because the time and effort that it takes. And Memory Board is a little bit of a way to kind of bridge some of that gap where that kind of becomes the central hub for communication between kind of everybody involved. And the care staff will better know what is going on. The family members will feel kind of more connected to their loved one and kind of more in tune with kind of their loved one's day to day. So it's really going to help you to kind of bring everybody together. You're exactly right. At a time that quality is not where I think people want it to be, and they're kind of not feeling like they have the visibility or the transparency that they would like, knowing what is going on with their loved one.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times families don't know, they don't remember exactly what time is a meal or when are
Hmm.
activities. And they might want to come and join in the activities or
Yeah.
be able to sit and see them participate. That allows them to do that without having to field another call.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, I don't see any downside to it other than they're going to say it's going to cost us money. And again, there's ways that they are, in my opinion, marketing right now that they could cut back and
Yeah.
they wouldn't feel it. And I think your product, they would feel the impact
Yeah.
from all sides,
Yeah.
and have a really positive impact.
Yeah.
So let's get back to families, since I got us totally
Yes.
sidetracked
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
on communities there. And you had talked a little bit about feedback. Is there what have you changed or learned since launching in June?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I mean, there's just so much to kind of do and improve and kind of make better. I think for us, like we're hearing a lot of just common kind of features and requests that people would like to see. The thing that we released most recently was the ability to do both a photo and a message kind of side by side. So that is available today. That was definitely our most requested feature. And people really like that because you can now, a few reasons. One, you can provide a lot more context on a photo that you're sharing. Or if you're sharing, let's say you're sharing like a daily agenda, I think people like to just share like a funny photo or a nice family photo to go along with the message and kind of have those two things together. So I think that's like really that's kind of really resonating with people, just to have more flexibility in terms of the types of things you post and how you post and the way that you're using it throughout the day. I think that's kind of a really big one. And then ultimately, what we're kind of looking to do is add, people would love a way for their loved one to basically just confirm that they've seen the message. So I think about it as a little bit of like a read receipts kind of type of thing, where it'll basically just be like a simple button that says like, I've read this, confirmed, good to go. And then ultimately, I think people are, there's a wide range of kind of new features and functionality kind of people are looking for, and to kind of make it better. I think ultimately people love the simplicity and ease of use, and we hear about it all the time, how easy it is to use, how simple it is, how easy the setup was. And that's what we're going to continue to lean in on, is keeping it super simple. Because ultimately, like I mean, this needs to be a tool that people can really understand and kind of get up to speed on fairly quickly. And I think people will get, new technology is hard because there's a learning curve to everything. So having a tool that is truly easy to use and simple, where you can invite family members to participate, to be able to send messages to the memory board, and doing that in a way that's really, really simple, I think that's going to be the core of the product. And everything we do is going to be kind of geared towards that, which in my mind means the core kind of like functionality will kind of remain the core, and it's really just about making that a little bit better and giving people more kind of flexibility and functionality.
So let me ask you this, because one thing we hadn't talked about is in terms of families engaging, do they have to do that through a computer? Can they do it through their phone? How easy and how flexible is that for them to send a picture or a message?
Yeah, so everything is done through the memory board app today, and the app
Mm-hmm.
is on Apple or the Google Play Store.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it through a browser as well, although it's definitely designed to be kind of app based. When somebody is setting up the memory board, they will, as part of the setup process, they can invite other people to join their care circle, which gives them the ability to send messages to the memory board. Those individuals will get an email, and from the email create their account and be kind of connected to their loved one's memory board. Um, so it's really about having the app, and then from anywhere you can kind of send messages and reminders.
I love when you talked about, the picture with the message and just noting the variety of ways of, hey, Lori's coming today, so here's a picture of Lori and here's her name and maybe here's a relationship to you, whatever.
Yeah.
Or just sending maybe a reminiscent picture that somebody found from, a wedding or a family get together or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And then sending, funny or calm things. It's a nature center, just thought you'd love this, or something funny just to give them a chuckle.
Yeah.
During the day. I think those are really, really nice varieties of touch points to help people, because a lot of times companies will say we have this, but then they don't give them examples, and people don't always understand why those variables would be important to somebody. And again, it all gets down to, in my mind, purpose and inclusion, and feeling loved, and don't we all want that?
So I mean, I think you're exactly right. So one of the kind of the big goals for memory boards is this idea of just ongoing communication, and every day there's kind of something new to engage with your loved one on. And to that exact point, like there are certainly days and situations where maybe there's not something going on, there's not an update or a message to send, and those are kind of the opportunities that you can send a nice photo, you can send a memory of kind of something from their past that kind of makes them smile, makes your loved one smile. So you can kind of use the photos to basically come in between messages when maybe there's something not on the agenda that's happening that day. You can kind of find another way to kind of check in with them and kind of bring a smile to your loved one's face. So I think that's kind of really what we're seeing with the photo. Is it's really a way to kind of go when there's kind of maybe not a big agenda update, and as a way to check in as well. It's like, hey, maybe your loved one is difficult to reach by phone, but you can send them kind of an update through the memory board and say, hey, here's what we were doing this weekend. Your grandkid is learning to ride a bike, or just did this amazing thing. Here's a photo of it, and we're thinking about you.
So, and this might be maybe another version, maybe not, maybe you're doing it right now. Could you send, like a collage of photos or a slideshow of photos for people?
Yeah. So right now, if there are multiple, they'll kind of rotate, they'll kind of carousel. So basically whatever is kind of active at any given time will be displayed, but there will only be one message or photo at a time, and then it'll kind of alternate between them depending on what is kind of active at that time. Now that you could do a message and a photo, we'll probably do like 2 photos at some point, because it kind of makes sense. But ultimately, this idea of kind of always something new, kind of something changing, always something for your loved one to kind of look for on the memory board. It's really kind of this, again, along the lines of being this kind of like ongoing tool. There's always kind of something to look at and kind of be reminded of.
Okay, so I got another question.
Yeah.
So, because again, these are tech questions that aren't really techy, but they can just stop people in their tracks. So, is it a different format if I have a portrait landscape, that's up and down, versus a landscape which would be more horizontal, or does that not matter?
Yeah, you're getting into the weeds, which I like. And it's actually, you're kind of getting to the secret of why we did the kind of the side-by-side photo and text together. So if you have a photo, you kind of want to see the whole photo naturally. So if it's a landscape photo, it will kind of take up the full screen of the memory board, so it'll display, quite big on the memory board screen. But if you have a portrait photo, which a lot of people, when you take out your phone and you take a photo, you're taking it in portrait, right? You're holding your phone straight up. So nowadays, a lot of photos end up being in portrait, whereas years ago, before the iPhone, let's say, everything you were take with a camera, it'd be landscape. So because things are portrait, what was happening was you had a lot of white space on the left and the right on the memory board. So that having a text and photo together now makes up for some of that white space, where there'll be photo on one side and kind of text on the other side. So it's just another way to kind of use up more of the screen.
Okay.
Now you can crop too. You can crop so that, like, if you want a landscape or you want a portrait to take up more of the screen, you can crop it. So again, kind of giving people more options there.
Well, and people are getting so much more comfortable with that, with their iPhones and stuff, and they're, they just get those fingers going.
Yeah,
exactly.
Those
changes. Yeah.
So. There's not so many. This isn't Instagram where you can, add filters and kind of go crazy on your photos. But I think just a couple of kind of key things just to make it a bit easier for people.
Sure. Well, and I think simple is better. It's just because the range of, user knowledge varies so much out there, and if somebody wants something really fancy, then go to Canva, fancy
Yeah.
it up, then drop it in.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have people who, they create their own images and then they'll download them as PNG files and they'll put them on the memory board. So we've actually had some people do some pretty creative stuff, which has been really interesting to see.
I wonder if anyone has ever, because I've never heard of anyone doing this, but I think this would be really helpful for people with dementia, is, in your portals, in your medical files, you upload a picture of you, but it would be really nice to have a picture of the doctor because a lot of them won't necessarily remember the name,
Yeah.
but they'll remember the person.
Yeah.
So I'm going to the eye doctor and this is who I'm seeing, or you're going for a physical, or your diabetes doctor, or the dentist, or whatever it might be, to show them who it is they're seeing. Because I know those can be really, cause a lot of angst for many people when they're going to the doctor.
Yeah.
But what I have found is with so many of them, they know who they are and they know who they like or who they don't like.
Yeah.
And so in some cases, that would be a real plus because they like going to see that person.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the doctors would let them take a picture, but that's just a thought of another way to be able to use that, because there can be a lot of angst with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just giving somebody kind of like a heads up to say, hey, here's what we're doing today, and here's who we're going to go see. And here's kind of a photo of that person, right? To kind of reduce some of that kind of anxiety of, you might not know who that person is when you go and see them. So I do think we see a lot of people using memory board in that way to say, here's our plan today, and here is who we're going to see. Any
other types of feedback that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we talked a lot about kind of the idea of kind of like simple check-ins and kind of quick reminders and kind of that sort of thing. I think what people really like as well is this idea of, because you can have an unlimited number of people in the care circles sending to memory board. Part of the goal here is everybody can kind of participate in the care, of your loved one. So we hear a lot about families who they might live thousands of miles away from the individual with memory loss, but they kind of feel more connected because they're sending, messages and reminders, and they're sending updates and kind of notifications as well. So we really kind of love hearing that aspect of it as well. And also I would say for the feedback that we're hearing from families that they hear from their loved ones as well, where there are situations where they didn't realize that their loved one could really read anymore, and they started reading off the memory board, and when they wake up, going to the memory board to kind of see what information was there. So it's amazing to hear from families what they're hearing and seeing from their loved ones with dementia and Alzheimer's, and them interacting with the memory board in kind of ways that I think we were all a little bit kind of surprised with the extent to which they're really interacting with it and using it.
Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Zinnia offers research-backed videos intentionally created for people with dementia, engaging, calming, and easy to follow. Whether you need to ease agitation, create moments of joy, or make daily routines smoother, Zinnia is here to help. Family and professional caregivers use our content to turn challenges into opportunities for connection. Accessible by subscription on mobile devices and connected TVs, Zinnia is simple to use whenever you need it. Because when caregiving feels easier, life feels better. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
Well, that's neat. Now, with the Care Circle, can everybody access through their portal to see what messages are going out on a daily basis, or kind of what the schedule is?
Yeah, that's correct.
Versus getting bombarded every time a message goes out, because then that can, I think, turn people off. Like, I can get all of these, I got to work, if someone's really utilizing it a lot.
Yeah, so everybody would have their own account for their memory board app, but everybody, when you go to the app, everybody sees what is currently being posted on the memory board. So if there's like a family function, you don't want two people to post to the same message or the same reminder. You can kind of go in and see and say, oh, my brother already posted that. I don't need to say that same thing. Or to your point, like we do tell people to ease into memory board, start slowly over time. Don't add 10 people to your care circle on day one. That's too overwhelming. That would be too overwhelming for anybody. But if you start with one or two people and then send a couple of messages, maybe you start with photos before incorporating messages, that tends to work well. But if you bombard somebody with 20 messages and photos on the first day, it does become really, really overwhelming. So we definitely kind of tell people to ease into it over time. And ultimately, because everybody kind of has access and kind of can see what is being posted there, everybody can kind of play a role to say, okay, maybe I'll kind of wait to send this photo, or not even wait, like I'll schedule it to come on tomorrow, instead of today, because there's already a lot on there today.
Well, and that makes sense too, to just start with one or two people, because you need to know the base. So when people are added, you can answer their questions or go, oh, that's a duplicate. We appreciate that, but we're doing it in this fashion type thing. Because otherwise, it could just get to be too many, chefs in the kitchen, basically, with something like that. So I can see that that being a really smart way to be able to do that. I think the other thing that it does for the care circle is, especially for, not just long distance, but there's a lot of people that live close but aren't really involved. They can actually see the connections. And in some ways, that might prompt them to step in and step up. Where, like, a lot of times people think if they're long distance, they just can't do it. I can't be there, and there can be a lot of guilt. And this way, that can alleviate some of the guilt. It can expand the engagement. It can make the whole family probably feel a little calmer, because there is that finger pointing that sometimes goes on within families in terms of how much are people doing. So I think that could be useful on a lot of different levels.
And this idea of guilt, I mean, it's like an even long, it's a longer topic, but there is, to an extent, this idea that, like, oh, can I be doing more, and how can I do more? And hopefully memory board helps people just a little bit, where they kind of feel like, hey, I am checking in more. And this goes to my kind of personal experience with my grandmother, where over the years, as her memory kind of became worse and worse, I didn't feel connected to her. I didn't feel like I had that touch point. Now, using the memory board, being able to share an update of young kids at home, sharing what's going on with their lives and how quickly they're growing, I also personally feel more connected to my grandmother in ways that I hadn't before. And it just feels really, really nice to be like, hey, I have this way of checking in with her. She lives thousands of miles away. I have this way of checking in with her that I really didn't before, because I couldn't pick up the phone. I couldn't give her a call. Like that wasn't, it's not possible. So I think that was my personal experience. I think we hear that from a lot of people as well.
Well, the intergenerational aspect is nice. I was talking with a friend this morning who was saying, her kids are very involved with their grandfather. And, they'll call him on the phone and invite him over to dinner and do things like that. And what that meant to not only the kids, but the grandfather, on how much he's like, and he said to her, I don't think I ever called my grandparents. But I really love when they reach out to me. So, to be able to to be able to send a picture and a text, I mean, is fuller, I think, than a phone call in some ways, because it can pop up again for them to see. But I think building on that intergeneration is so important, because our younger kids, a lot of them, they're just texting. They're not talking on the phone, or it's different. It's, I'm old, I'm 66. And I mean, I had the phone on the wall with the long cord, I was growing up, and that was it. And, but now there's so many different ways to connect. But I see a lot of our younger generation not having eye contact with people, and not, this might sound silly, feeling the communication, the connection. And I think that's your memory board can really help elevate that.
That's certainly part of the goal. And to that point, I think just doing kind of like focusing on one message or one photo at a time, I think also has been really helpful, just to kind of like simplify things for everybody. Because like to your point, there's so much information overload, and there's so much going on every day. There's so much information out there. You can kind of really, go crazy trying to like just get all the information, keep track of your calendar, right? So just having kind of like really kind of simplifying it to like, hey, here's like the one main thing that's going on today, or here's the two main things that are going on today, or like here's just kind of like one update that we want to share with you. I think people have really liked that aspect of it, of like super simple down to what is the one or two things that are happening today.
Exactly. Anything else that you wanted to cover? I just find this fascinating and exciting. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And again, thanks for having us back. And I would say, it has been a really exciting last couple of months since our official launch beginning of June. And now I think what the feedback's been great. We're just adding new features. It's still certainly a new product, and we've got a lot planned as well. And now we're just kind of gearing into the end of the year and kind of what that's going to look like. We do hear a lot of people using memory board or giving memory board as like a gift for their loved one around their birthdays. So I think it'll be interesting kind of what the holidays look like. I think people will find it a really kind of helpful tool for communication with their loved ones. So we're kind of gearing up towards what the end of the year looks like, and then already kind of thinking about what next year holds.
And I think too, like my area is dementia, but just for elders as a whole, so don't just pocket hole this. I mean, there's other people that are using it in their home for themselves as well.
Yeah.
So this isn't just a zone in one area, but there's so many things besides birthdays and holidays. There's like right now it's Alzheimer's awareness. There's elder awareness, and there's elder abuse. There's all different types of things where it's like this would be absolutely ideal. And I don't know if it could decrease abuse, but I also think if someone was in a community, or let's say someone's at home and they've got somebody in their home, if they're seeing these regular communications come through, they might think twice that someone's going to be checking on this person, and that might be enough to deter. I mean, you can't guarantee that, but people pick their targets typically for certain reasons. So we never know with something like that. And the other thing I wanted to mention, or have you mention actually, is the size of your screens, because I think that is a huge differentiator in terms of what's out there.
Yes, we have two versions. We have a 10-inch diagonal, which is about the size of a tablet. And then we have a bigger version, which is a 15-inch diagonal, which is about the size of a large computer monitor or laptop monitor, just about. And I think we kind of made that choice kind of very intentionally, having kind of two sizes, giving people the options. I think we definitely kind of see people gravitate towards both, really depending on where they plan to put it, their loved one's vision, how far away their loved one will be from the memory board as well. But I think people really like that they have the option to kind of go bigger if they want it, so that it's just easier for their loved ones to see. On each, the number of characters or the number of words is kind of the same in terms of like the limit. But what it means is on the bigger board, messages will ultimately appear bigger and appear larger. And I think for people who have family members with macular degeneration, or other vision problems, they've really liked having that option of getting a bigger board.
It's not always for the person who's using it. It can be for the person who's part of the care team as well. When they're over there seeing, because a lot of people have different eyesight, at different times and stuff. So that can make a difference as well. And it can be, I just love the larger one. I just think it's genius, actually, because you can put it on the wall. It doesn't have to be right in their lap, where it's, all of a sudden it's lost in the couch cushions, or, wherever. I mean, because things can happen with that kind of stuff, and you don't want a screen getting broken and disconnected. But it just seems, I don't know, it seems more permanent in terms of where you're going to look and where you're going to find it. And, I just personally, I really like that. Tell people about subscribing and, cost factors and things like that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So There is intentionally not a subscription that goes for the memory board, which I think that's probably the most common question that we get is whether there is a subscription, and the answer is no. So the only cost is the one-time kind of purchase for the device. The small one retails for 175. The big one retails for 275, and we're currently running a 10% off promotion on our website. So you're kind of getting 10% off basically that kind of sticker price. So there's the one-time kind of cost for the device. And then from there, unlimited number of messages you can send, unlimited number of people you can invite to your care circle. There's no additional cost for using the app. So, kind of families are buying it for their loved ones, and then they're inviting, 3, 4, 5 people into the care circle, and everybody can kind of really participate in the care of their loved one and sending messages and that sort of thing. So it's really that kind of one-time purchase, and then you kind of get the ongoing benefit through the app.
Yeah, and that's unusual not to have a subscription fee. Just if you're listening, that's kind of rare out there. So that makes a huge difference for people in my mind in terms of affordability and things. And again, you can go in as a family because I know money can be tight for people too. So
Yeah.
you could go in as a care group and pool your money to get something like this as well. So I think so often we think it's all or nothing. When we're doing something like that, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah. People love that there's kind of no subscription, and that was definitely one of the kind of goals was not needing to kind of have a subscription, because I think you're exactly right. There's a lot of subscription fatigue, to say the least, about all these subscriptions.
Exactly. Well, this, like I said, I'm thrilled with where you started and where you are today and where you're going. I love that you are open to all kinds of feedback. I just think, I think we're getting better at that, but I still think most companies aren't listening to the level that they need to.
Yeah.
Or in my opinion, to really meet the community need that they're trying to serve.
Yeah.
And so kudos to you. Appreciate it.
And we're very grateful and thankful for all of the customers and the families that are working with us now. As early families, they've also been really supportive, giving me feedback. When there's minor things that don't work, we obviously try and fix those as quickly as possible. And people are, I find, as long as you communicate openly and kind of provide people updates and work on, fix their problems, then they're pretty kind of receptive to saying, thank you for doing that and kind of doing it so quickly. So, just super grateful to kind of the families who have really been helpful for us in kind of understanding and giving us feedback. And ultimately, I think for us, it's really like we will build things based on what we hear from families and from our users. And that's kind of really guiding everything that we do. So we love to hear from families and what they're seeing and what they would like to see.
Fantastic. Do you want to give people, where they should go to be able to get the app, and if there's contact information for you, how they reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, go to our website, memoryboard.com. You can drop us an email at hello@memoryboard.com. We have a phone number, a contact number on our site as well. We have some contact forms as well. So you can start at the website, and there are just a handful of ways that you can kind of reach out to us. But if you have any questions, definitely drop us an email, reach out, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being with us. Like I said, I'm really excited for all you're doing. And I know, one of the things that I really appreciate is I feel really strongly your heart's in the right place. And that's why you launched this, why you're so passionate about getting it out there and improving it. And again, not everybody's in that space. And to me, that makes a huge difference in terms of the quality of the product or how happy you're going to be, with the product. Because I know for me, if I have a problem, I want someone who's going to answer me, or, I can give the feedback, or, who can direct me if I'm screwing something up. The other thing I want to say is your directions are really simple too for people. And that was like
Yeah, simple is key. Everything we do, the goal is kind of simple. Customer support, the goal is, really kind of high touch, always kind of being available, and just kind of like surprising and delighting people so that they really feel like they're kind of getting what they need.
Well, Well, for our audience, be a giver of hope, like, click, and share. You don't know who in your sphere needs this. And, a lot of people don't know this is out there. And so it takes a village for all of us to raise the voices of all these, cool things that Memory Board can do and how it can support families and professionals alike. And, be one of those people that lifts somebody up and gives direction without even having to talk to them. It costs no money to do, and it takes very little time to share this information. So, join our group and be a giver of hope. Thanks.
Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Zinnia offers research-backed videos intentionally created for people with dementia, engaging, calming, and easy to follow. Whether you need to ease agitation, create moments of joy, or make daily routines smoother, Zinnia is here to help. Family and professional caregivers use our content to turn challenges into opportunities for connection. Accessible by subscription on mobile devices and connected TVs, Zinnia is simple to use whenever you need it. Because when caregiving feels easier, life feels better. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
Everybody.
Thanks, Laurie.